All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another brand new show on the channel. I'm gonna be watching Dandadan for the very first time, and yeah, I'm very keen for this. I'm super excited. Um, Now, if I have to be honest immediately, first episode reaction and all. I have read the first 2 or 3 chapters of the manga, and this was like years ago. Um, but the reason why I stopped reading the manga at that time was because they announced that Dandadan is getting an anime adaptation, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna hold on to this. I'm not going to continue with the manga because the idea that hey, I could do a anime reaction to this eventually, and here we are. So in terms of at least the first episode, I don't know how I don't know which chapters or how much chapters they're going to be adapting for this first episode, but at least for this first episode, I won't be I won't be blind essentially. I do know the basic premise of the show. I've seen some of the character designs are familiar to me, to say the least. um, there's also a grandma character, to say the least, that I am well aware of. But beyond that, don't know much about the show. So at the very least, by the second episode or the third episode, I'll be blind for basically the rest of the series, and that is going to be pretty exciting. But just to let it all out for the very beginning of this first, for this first episode reaction, that I'm not going to be surprised by much of the story in general, but what I am excited for is going to be like the animation, the direction, the presentation of the whole show and everything. That is going to be like the main appeal for the time being. But yeah, Dandadan, really, really exciting show to begin with, especially, by the end of the year, new anime. Again, this is like the trending, talked upon manga, and I guess now anime, uh, that a lot of people are kind of raving about at this point. So yeah, super exciting stuff. I now, I mean, if you look at like some of my I guess the catalog of videos on my channel for the time being, I haven't really done anything that is like exactly up to date to recent releases. Mostly due to avoiding spoilers and all, but it's also due to how I personally consume media nowadays. Like I would much prefer to to watch something on my own time, on my own pace. And obviously, when it comes to trying to watch a show that is currently airing right now weekly, obviously it forces me to watch that show every week. And keep in mind, it's not just watching the show every week, but it's also editing the videos every week now. And like I used to do that in the past, but lately I've been kind of keeping away from that angle of I guess video production. Um, and in the case of Dandadan, I've made the decision to, at least for this first episode, to release it as quickly as I can. I am recording this on the day that the episode is getting released. But for the rest of the season, for the next couple of episodes, that's gonna be dependent on how this video performs and how much people are gonna be, asking for the next episode. So who knows? Like that's gonna be a decision that I'll think about next week when the second episode gets released. But for the time being, don't expect like the next episode next week. Don't expect that just yet. Um, in other cases, I'll probably just gonna be bundling the next couple of episodes as a single video, just like all of my other recent videos. But again, who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much it for the intro. If you do want to support the channel, then you can head on over to the Patreon. You get early access to a bunch of shows and I guess some exclusive reactions there. Even for this show, for Dandadan, I'll try to release the uncut, unedited versions as fast as I can over there. So if you do want to catch like the earliest reactions to Dandadan, then head on over to the Patreon. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this episode reaction. If you do, hit like, subscribe, enjoy the video. It's an interesting tone for the opening, that's for sure. Okay. Look at these angles though.
顔が高倉健に似てた。出た。めんどくせえ。いいだろがい。高倉健みたいな豪華な男が好きなんだよ。うちの人生では父さんにはもう出会えないのか。
There he is. Oh, look at that though.
やったやった。このストレスをどこにぶちまけりゃいいんだよ。大統領はすでに火星に行っていたペガサス計画の全容とは。なんて？オカルト
Conspiracies.
うるせえな。こっちは今失礼してそんな気分じゃねえんだよ。そのオタク特有の押し付けてくる感じは小さいから。だから友達。
Oh, look at that transition though.
気安く話しかけんな。
The show is playing a lot with like angles and a lot of foreshortening, which makes for some really dynamic and lively shots and movements.
宇宙人は信じてないけど、幽霊は信じてる派だから。いや、幽霊なんているわけないでしょ。
Lovely character acting here, but yeah, this is the premise that I do know. Isn't Ken Takakura like an actual actor? I'm not well versed into Japanese entertainment media personalities. Apologies. There is a chance that I have. Yeah, I saw that one. Some really highly detailed and beautiful backgrounds in this first episode already. Interesting use of the moon definitely stands out. The way these two are acting, I'm really enjoying the voice acting. Oh, look at that! Look at this! Ooh. Oh, just the way they are animating the light there, just really, really well done. Oh, beautiful.
案の定男子に笑い物にされてさ。でも一番きつかったのは好きな男子にバカにされた時。ばあちゃんのことすごい憎んだ。そっから最近まで口聞かなかったし、おまじないもやめた。
Really beautiful.
でもね、他人にうちの家のことバカにされるとムカつくの。
Naturally.
好きな子に嫌われたのが嫌だったんじゃなくて、好きな子にばあちゃんをバカにされたことが嫌だったんだなーって。そういうあんたはなんで宇宙人信じてんの？
え？それは別にいいじゃないですか。
Really good.
必要なんですか？
Oh.
まあ確かに。
Footprints there, but really excellent lighting, really excellent use of.
え？そうですか？
Really excellent use of reflections.
おっぱい吸わせてやるからよ。
What?
もっとしゃぶらせろ。
What? I don't remember her saying that. Oh. Oh, look at this. Turbo Granny. Oh, this music though. Oh boy.
我々はセルポ星人、惑星セルポから来たのでそう名乗ってます。あなたの荷物はしっかりと管理してあります。なので我々は人間のような生殖機能を取り戻すためにあなた方のバナナが欲しいのです。今からセックスします。あなたとセックスした後、子宮やバナナを摘出して研究します。
I forgot how fucking insane this is. Of course, of course.
始めましょう。タイミングの悪い方がいるようで。
This is definitely out there. It's such an interesting premise, isn't it? Stop saying banana. Stop saying banana. Oh, look at that. Look at that. No. Oh, look at that. I mean, presentation-wise, this is great. Come on. Beautiful.
頭の先から気をピーンと出すイメージ。
Listen to grandma. Listen to grandma. Lovely use of color. Once again. Whoa. She is. Yep. Ah, that's great. This is another problem, though. Excuse me, what? This is definitely one of the most bonkers first episode that I've seen. Ah, beautiful destruction there.
信じるわ、宇宙人。てか誘拐されたし。
自分も幽霊信じます。呪われましたから。
そんなのターボババアぶっ倒すしかないっしょ。呪いの元なんだし。
なるほど。じゃあ自分ちょっと行ってきます。
I love how he's just, alright, that's what I need to do. I'm gonna do it immediately.
全部自分のせいなんで。
Ah.
これ以上綾瀬さんを巻き込めないです。
Getting an idea of like their characteristic here.
なんで一緒に来てって言えないの?
He has a feeling of responsibility.
自分なんかに協力しても。
And I guess lower self-esteem? Could be wrong.
行くよ。
すいません。
That's cute.
綾瀬さん、服着てください。そうでないとまともに喋れません。
嘘。なんでドキドキしてんの?
Oh boy.
たまたま高倉健のセリフを言ったからびっくりしただけ。
Ah. I see. My name is Ken Takakura.
Takakura Ken desu.
I was joking. I was joking. I was joking. I don't even remember his actual name. That was fun. What's with the cat? No, but like seriously, what is with the cat? All right, Dandadan, episode 1. Yeah. What an episode in many ways. First and foremost, obviously, beautiful presentation. Beautiful. Science Saru, the studio that is animating this this production, this project. I mean, this isn't my first Science Saru anime. I've seen a lot of their shows actually, a lot of their anime productions, but for this first episode specifically, some really well done and well executed moments, I would say. I mean, I've already talked about it multiple times already in the reaction, but yeah, fantastic use of camera work, storyboarding, lighting, a lot of use of reflections as well that I really enjoyed, and some of the art direction specifically. Not just the way the colors and the light changes from time to time to get that I would say a very evocative feeling from the audience, but it's also like how certain characters and certain scenes are shaded, just really well done from a technical perspective, from a technical point of view. And then of course like the opening as well, the visuals on that really well done, really just beautiful to look at. I don't know how else to say. The song may not necessarily be my cup of tea specifically. Like can't really do anything about that when it comes to like one's personal taste in music. Like everybody has their own preferences and all. So while the song may not necessarily be a song that I would personally vibe with, but the animation, the visuals for that opening, really well done, really well directed as well. And overall, the first episode definitely left an impression. I was thinking about like what this first episode, at least in terms of tone and visual, kind of reminded me of, because like of course there is a difference between kind of the tone and the experience that you would have from reading a manga and watching an anime, and of course with pacing, and we'll talk about that later. But in terms of like tone, it really does remind me a bit of Mob Psycho 100, or at least the very beginnings of Mob Psycho 100. I mean, even the fact that we kind of went into a tunnel, Mob Psycho, of course. I think it was the first or second episode of the first season where we do have a similar kind of setup, and of course spirits and all. But of course, instead of just spirits, we're also adding aliens and UFOs, and what a premise, to say the least. I mean, again, like I already talked about it in the beginning, the intro of this video, but I am, of course, not entirely blind when it comes to the premise. I do know that we're going to be meeting two characters, a boy and a girl, and one of them believes in ghosts, one of them or spirits, and one of them believes in aliens, and of course the other one also don't believe about like the things that the other believes, but now they both kind of got that first-hand experience on both aliens and spirits, and it's almost a wild it's a wild concept with a really wild and almost kind of over the top presentation in this first episode. A lot of really weird and just straight up almost disturbing moments as well that really makes you don't really you feel disturbed, right? But at the same time, it's like there is a level of appreciation that you cannot just ignore from like again, like the presentation and the production quality of this first episode. Like when like the scene where Momo, our main one of our main characters, is getting I mean, there's no other way to put it. Being almost about to be sexually assaulted by a bunch of robot aliens that wants bananas. It's, on one hand, it is really disturbing, right? Like this is a disturbing moment, but at the same time, at the back of my mind, like I cannot help but appreciate and commend like the direction, the presentation, the animation, the lighting, and everything. Like, it's something that on a technical level I really appreciate, but deep down, obviously, in terms of like the storytelling and what it's trying to say, it's definitely reaching across that, hey, yeah, this is a disturbing scene. Like, you're not meant to feel any type of other emotion other than disturbance, right? But yeah, overall, really, I really liked this first episode. If I do have criticisms for this first episode, I would probably say like the pacing is too fast for me. But that's just, again, that's just my own personal opinion. And the reason why I say this, because, again, having read the first chapter of the manga and seeing like this first episode, it's clear, obviously, when you're reading a manga, like the pacing, most of the time the audience, or I guess the reader, can control like how long a scene or a specific plot beat will go on, whereas with an anime there's a fixed pace that they need to that they decided to do. And at least for this first episode, while I do, again, like really appreciate like the production quality and everything, I do think that the pacing isn't really for me specifically. Like, this is really, really fast. But then again, most first episode of an anime tend to be this way. Like, this is the like the usual structure of an anime episode, or I guess more specifically like a shonen anime episode. I guess the more I'm thinking about like other examples of this, the more it's all going to like the shonen formula. So while I don't want to generalize everything, but it is kind of like what is on my mind right now. You get the obvious, you get our character, you introduce our character, you also introduce like the basic conflict of the story, you also introduce like the fantastical elements, if you will, right? And then by the end, you also need to introduce that our main character, like who our main character is, what is, if they have powers, what it is. If they don't have powers, then they need to get their powers immediately by the end of the first episode. Like, these are pretty common formulas, common structures of a first episode of an anime. It's just that in the case of Dandadan, there's a lot going on. Like, we're not just dealing with one fantastical element here. We're dealing with multiple fantastical elements, and we're also dealing with multiple characters, right? It's not just one specific main character. No, this is two main characters. And at least in terms of like our two main characters, I am really already enjoying their dynamic. Momo and I'm pretty sure he's called Okarun, which is why, by the end of the first episode, I was like joking about like the name of that actor. I just read about like Ken Takakura, I think is the name, but yeah, legendary Japanese actor from like I guess the golden age of Japanese cinema, decades and decades ago. Again, like I mentioned, my knowledge and my history on Japanese cinema, unfortunately, isn't that high for the time being. It is on my plan to watch list of like getting through all of these fantastic movies. Getting sidetracked here, but yeah, Okarun and Momo, I'm really enjoying their character dynamic. I'm really enjoying the way how expressive they are, at least in this first episode, how expressive they are being presented. already getting that this relationship that is bound to be something special down the line. I mean, by the end of this first episode, it's already being hinted at, that these two characters, there is a potential growing romantic relationship between the both of them, right? And I feel like if they are going to be going into that angle, if they are going to be pushing it, I feel like if done right, this could be a really fun and really, in a way, I can also imagine really heartwarming friendship that they can develop, and they can that they can further explore in the future, especially with all of these fantastical supernatural elements, the aliens and spirits. And we're just scratching the surface, obviously, right now. Like, there's more where that came from, for sure. If this is like if this is like what we are being presented at in the first episode, I cannot imagine what we're gonna be dealing with in the later half of like this season, or like later down the line within the story. Like, a lot of things can happen, obviously, but yeah, in terms of characters, I'm really enjoying them. Do love some of the character acting, the many instances that they are already forming this bond. Really, really good. If we're talking individual characters here, I do think that it is it's already pretty telling about like the characteristics and the personalities of these characters immediately in this first episode. If you look and analyze like how they act with each other, and how they sort of respond to the other. I mean, if you look at Momo, it's obvious, from the very first moment, the very first scene that we see her, she has a lot of self-respect, right? And she also cares about like one's own person. It's, if you don't respect a person, then that's you're not gonna be together with Momo, that's for sure, obviously. And that is very much evident, not just with when she broke off with this boyfriend in the very beginning, but also when she looks at Okarun being bullied in the classroom, and she decided to step in, right? She decided to step be in the middle of these, in the middle of Okarun and these bullies and all of these people. They look at Momo, and there is that I guess that self, that respect again, like I mentioned, right? Because they look at Momo sitting right there next to Okarun, and they're like, oh, okay, we're not gonna deal with you anymore. We're not gonna mess with you, and that is already evident. And I love that little visual storytelling in like how other people perceive these characters, and what that is telling us, the audience, about who these characters are. And then, of course, with Okarun, you get to see that again in the very end of the episode. I kind of mentioned it a little bit during the reaction, right? But how Okarun just immediately go, like, don't, he doesn't want Momo to deal more with any of this, because Okarun also has this sort of perspective on, this is my responsibility. This is my burden. So he immediately apologizes to Momo that, hey, I'm sorry that you got caught up with all of this. So immediately we kind of get an idea of his character. He's, I would say, for now, as I mentioned, like he has this sort of lower self-esteem than Momo. The fact that he's, like blaming himself, taking the burden, taking responsibility, when, of course, we as an audience know that in actuality, no, like that is not, this is both of your, like Okarun and Momo are in this together, right? This is like nobody's fault. And yet, Okarun here taking the blame mostly, or at least he's taking the blame, right? And even Momo's like, whoa, what is this person, doing? Like, and in a way, Momo kind of have that self-respect as well, right? When it comes to, looking at Okarun and the way he's acting. So immediately, like, these two characters, while in certain regards, in certain aspects, they are opposites of each other, but there's also this sense of camaraderie and also this sense of maybe they're not so different, right? And already with these two characters alone, I am really excited to see like where they're gonna go. Story-wise, of Dandadan, I don't know what is gonna happen. That is gonna be the thing that is like left in the mystery because interesting premise, don't get me wrong, but as I already mentioned, if there is a criticism that I would have for this first episode is that I think the pacing is just a little bit too fast for me personally speaking. Of course, that's probably just gonna be I'm probably in the minority in this case. Maybe all of you don't mind the pacing at all. Maybe some of you really enjoyed it. I don't know. Maybe if you are a manga reader and maybe you think that this is like the perfect pace, and that's fine. That's your opinion. I'm not trying to change that at all. But yeah, Dandadan, episode 1. Exciting stuff. I am definitely keen to look at like the next couple of episodes, and I feel like now that I know where this episode ends, I feel like by the next episode, or maybe I'm gonna guess like maybe in like the first half of the next episode, or maybe by the end of the next episode is probably probably gonna be the last episode that I do know where things are going, because if I remember where I left off with the manga, it's probably around that time. So just to keep it, keeping it honest for all of you guys, but definitely after the second episode, that's where I'm gonna be like uncharted territory, So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy my reaction to Dandadan, the first episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will see you all next time. Take care, everybody. Have a nice day. Peace.